Be that, and it would be getting a structural engineer to add support beams to put a hot tub on the roof. Suddenly now.
Well, see, first of all, you don't need a structural engineer to put a support beam. First of all, a structural engineer wouldn't even do that. First of all they do would be inspecting it, and then they usually just drop some plans, a blueprint, and all they're looking for is just safety. Is it safe? And they'll usually tell you what material you're going to use, just to make it, if it's safe. And you have to do it by code, and it's just to be safe. Won't any accidents would happen. Because people could die very easily with these mistakes. So, but usually it's just the planning of it. Now, usually they an architect, a contractors, they work with them. Contractor, usually they'll have a carpenter. The carpenter will probably do it. But then even with that, people putting up support beams, roofing, anything like that, it's usually not even them. It's usually just the people that work for them, that they're the ones that work for, usually not even a contractor. It's usually an employee that they don't even know, that actually just helps, that a new hire that's in that location. Usually that's what happens. Just like in electrical and gas lines. So you'll go to a place, right? And you see that it'll say, go to Google or wherever you go, search it up, look it up in the books. If you start looking, it'll say, contractor, or it'll say electrical, licensed electrician, or licensed plumber, right? Well, those guys, if it's a small job, they're the ones that do the job, very quick. It depends on where it's at, but usually, even if it's a small job, they'll usually have a helper. It could be their son, it could be their kids, it could be, but a lot of times it's just someone they usually know. And if not, they can just hire someone. They don't have to have any experience. That's the thing that you guys really don't understand yet, and don't really know. A lot of people don't know this, is that this guy could be on the job for 2 weeks and be installing these lines, and you really don't know. You see what I mean? But usually, of course, since it's licensed, the licensed, electrician or licensed plumber will come back, look over the job, make sure it's done, make sure he does a pressure test, and make sure that's, it's correct. And then for wiring, he'll look over, make sure it's all correct wiring, test it, and make sure all the connections are, tightly, they're fitted right, corrected, and um tested through anyway, there's like just testers for electricity. That's all it is, really. So someone that you think that, since you're hiring someone and you think that they know, most of these people, some of them are not even on the job for 4 months. A lot of times they're in and out. They're just people that, they just want a little training here and there, and they just don't, just for a seasonal job. And they'll come in, they'll do that. And a lot of times that's what it is, it's seasonal. So they'll come in, do whatever they need to do, or, be the one that's digging. And there's, it'll be the guy that's just digging the trench, just doing, handing the stuff, getting stuff and bringing it to them, going back to the truck and bringing out equipment, bringing tools, bringing supplies, dumping things, just stuff like that. So with all this information, it's like people believe that a contractor or license, the main guy, it's like saying the boss is actually doing the work. The boss almost never does any work, physical work. He's just there to inspect and look, make sure it's okay, because it's his name, it's his life on the line, because it's his job, his responsibility to look it over, and it's his work. So, once you have employees, that's your work right there. If they mess up, you mess up, because you're gonna have to come back and fix it. And you don't want to keep going back, because it's, that's where it can become the issue, something wrong. And if you don't, it's very easily, especially if you're licensed, it's very easy to get in trouble for not doing it correctly. And, they have inspectors, and you can easily call them and they can get in trouble. I mean, they can lose their license. If they lose their license, they're screwed. I mean, wow. And you're not going to start getting, harder to get jobs. You're not going to get paid anymore as much. A lot of things could happen. It's really bad. It could ruin their life, but so that's why they do it correctly, but they overlook it, but they're not the ones doing the work. So if you're telling a guy to put in a gas line right there, it's not going to be the licensed plumber doing the line. It's going to be some of the workers that are, digging the trench, cutting, taking all that out, and then someone that knows, knowledgeably enough, that knows a little bit about it. Few months, he'll be running the line up, making sure that everything's tight. But I'm pretty sure one of the main guys, because these people have been doing it for years. There'll be someone watching, make sure it's correct. Then they'll test it for sure. And then that's it. But a lot of the times, these people that you think that are doing the jobs, everyone has a certain job, and it relates to. So one time it's a contractor, he'll have an electrician. Electrician doesn't even work for them. It's just everybody's subcontracting now. It's they have someone that does that. Someone comes in, you have to have that, and everybody, because it's so it's so diverse in that, where there's almost no companies that I know that have all that, and if they do, it's very expensive. I mean, $300 or $400, just for a little job. So, and that's just per job. And that's not even if you're talking about like what you did, I mean, that's how it can run into that. 25, 50,000 just in the kitchen, easy. That's not even a surprise. That's like a regular. That's how much it costs everywhere. It's very expensive to do stuff like that. It's best if you do it yourself or know someone and they actually can do the work. Yes, it takes longer if they're by themselves, but you can also help them. So there's all that, as well. So, but to do the hot tub, would it be worth it? I mean, looking at it, it's possible to do it. I mean, if you have the money, but I mean, really, I mean, if your roof has that, now you can do that if you have the money, but if you're just gonna do it just because, like if you're doing something just to be cool, that's really not. If you have money, yes, but if you don't, I mean, what's the point of that? Just like roof, if you have, different types of roof, of course, if you're using oh man, it's so, I can't even think right now. But if you're using a certain type of roofing, you have to build support on it. If you don't, but then it's like, why would you continue to do that, to add the support on that for what? Once you have something, just leave it the way it is, because it's never as easy as you think. You just think, oh, I'll just put a support beam right here and it's done. And then you'll end up into another problem. Certain things will happen to that, and it'll just add on and add on. And before you know it, you have another project going on, and you're thinking it's going to take 2 weeks, and you're in about 4 or 5 months in a job that you don't want.